This
to
conference
do.
will now be recorded.
So
Okay.
we can't. Probably I can't. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
but like following day, the work day is okay. I have no issue. Even it's a little bit late.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I need to. Weekend I have some family things I have to handle. That's
No, no,
why.
no, not a problem. Not a problem.
Yeah.
Even for me, like, okay, it's even for me, handling one class will be convenient, right? So not an issue.
I agree. Uh,
Uh,
One thing, so yeah. So since we connected today, we have a chance to. So about you know all your Java documents, like how it's going with them? Like you are, because I know you are like you know, you are arranging, you are like editing them, like arrange. How is it going with that? Like
uh, I have done this multi-threading and these things actually. For what I have shared for exceptionally and collections for you, and you want something from inheritance for this. You want documents, PPTs kind of things, or you are asking for that?
yes. But I mean, I'm just asking the progress. If you are not ready, it's not in a rush. I mean, just I just
Okay, okay,
wondering like when it will be like
okay.
ready.
You
Like
want
even yeah. I
okay.
mean,
You are asking me that PPTs for the previous sessions, like for example,
yeah,
inheritance
for
or
the slides. Yeah.
abstractions.
But mm,
I have not created for them
no
actually, so
problem.
I'll be doing it.
I mean, my point is, I know you are handling several sessions and a little busy. I mean,
Not an issue. Uh,
even after our
I understand.
session, you send to me. There is no issue. Like I'm just
Yes, yes.
asking. Yeah.
I cannot promise you the time, but I promise you that I'll send all the PPTs.
Okay, sure. No issue. No issue. Like
I'll do that. I'll do
because
that.
because I'm reviewing our recording now. I mean, even in the recording, I can see your slides. You know the point. But
Yes, yes.
yeah. For me, for currently, there is no issue for me.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So we have done with the sleep, join, wait methods in the previous session. I hope you don't have any queries in that. Do you have anything, Mike?
No, not for now.
So okay, and we have all covered the differences also. So today we'll be talking about the important thing in your multi-threading, that is your synchronization. So you have synchronization. This is the terminology, you may be aware or not. I'm not sure, but yeah, you have come across this term called synchronization, Mike. Anything that you know about synchronization or something?
Synchronization. Sorry,
Mhm.
give me one moment. So yeah, let me just think to rework my mind recap.
I have not explained you
Yeah.
this topic, but I'm asking you in whether you heard anything before.
Actually, I think you mentioned it a little bit.
Okay, I have mentioned it
A little bit.
in
Yes.
collections. In collections, I have
Yeah.
mentioned it.
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So then, and even when I'm talking, explaining you collections, I told you that in multi-threading we'll have some deeper explanation on this, right?
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
so if you see, so why you have the synchronization as we discussed in the in collection is nothing but, so for example, when you have multiple threads, and what you want only one thread to access that object, and you use synchronization. And if there are all the threads are acting on that object simultaneously, that you call it as asynchronization. So asynchronization will be a little faster. So for this I've taken you the examples of array list and vectors. I hope you remember. So,
Yes, I remember.
okay, so you when you have several threads, so for example, all the threads want to act on the object, right? And if you are allowing all the threads to act simultaneously, for example, if the thread one has not completed its task on object one, but thread two want to act on it, so like that you are trying to make all the threads to act on it simultaneously. right? So then you call it as what you can say simultaneously, you call it as asynchronization. What is the meaning of synchronization? Whenever one thread is acting on that object, the remaining threads will be in a waiting state. That you call it as synchronized. So synchronization, asynchronization. So you achieve the synchronization by writing a synchronized keyword to a method, and we have a synchronized block also. We'll see how to achieve that and how to see that. Meanwhile, you can just go through that slide for 2 minutes uh, by making my whatever I told you, by keeping that in mind. So you can just read out that slide. Synchronization in Java is a So this point you leave it. Synchronization method is used to lock an object. But I'll tell how this. What is this?
Just one question. To prevent consistency problem, why? So what does that mean?
Yes, I'll explain even that.
Sure,
You have thread. So, but you understood what is synchronization, right?
Yes,
so,
I understood. Yes.
So, for example, when there are multiple threads are acting on an object, you have inconsistency, right? So, what is the meaning of consistency? I think you heard about this terminology: consistency and inconsistency. Consistency means something where you don't have any disturbance in the data, right? What is the meaning of inconsistency? Is something where you have a disturbance which you cannot able to predict that what is the next value. For example, when it comes of consistency, you can say, okay, this is my, you heard normal English terminology, right? So you heard this term in many areas. So for example, like homogeneous, heterogeneous, similarly you have consistency. I have consistency data, I have inconsistency data. Okay, I'll give, so what is the meaning of thread interference? Is nothing but whenever, as I told you, whenever there are multiple threads are trying to act on the same object, obviously there is nothing but you have thread interferences. So for that, your data may be inconsistent, and you can understand this terminologies very well with the example that I'm going to tell you. So here, your synchronization will help you to solve this kind of problems. Like you have a data consistency, and your data will not be inconsistent. Your data will be consistent, and there is no thread interference. So whenever one thread is acting on it, the other thread will not act on it. So it means there is no thread interference. So how your synchronization will be achieved will be telling by these 2 points. So we'll see that 2 points within a little amount of time. So can you able to see this thing, Daniel? What I'm trying to do?
Actually, yeah, like generally it's okay, but this the image, the characters in this image is what's the English word? Is vague. Vague.
Yes, yes. I don't know. Even I feel it. I have done it from the Google, so I don't
Yeah,
know
I
how
know,
to
I know.
improve this quality actually. So I
Yeah.
didn't work on it much to improve the quality of that. But here, if I tell, I think you can able to assume it. So this is assume you are trying to book some rail ticket, maybe whatever. I think a rail ticket or some bus ticket or something, right?
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
what I see, this is nothing but a railway system, railway reservation system, or some website where you have the tickets. And what are these 2 people are nothing but you can see 2 people images, right? So don't worry about the text, but you can able to see that images little, right? So he's filling the
Yes.
reservation form, he's filling the, whenever you want to book a ticket,
Yes.
so you want to do some action, right? So this is the first, you have this user or the passenger, you can call this as thread 1, and the second user or the second passenger, you can call it as thread 2. So they are assuming we have thread 1 and thread 2, right? So similarly, when you are trying to book a tickets, so all the users they are considering as a thread example, right? And you have a railway system where you have some number of tickets, right? So that is a unique one, that is a common one for all the threads that you have. So you have one object and you have different kinds of threads, right? So here, what is this inconsistency problem? What is this race condition? So we'll see. Assume that your railway system is having only 2 tickets. For example, there are only 2 tickets available in the system, and assume that there is a passenger one started filling his form, and what he done, he just tried to book the 2 tickets. So for example, he just given to book the 2 tickets, right? And it was in the process, and what happened, there is a passenger too, even he gave the request for the railway system of 1 ticket, right? So what happened, his request got accepted, because 2 is less than or equals to 2 and 1 is also less than or equals to 2, right? So that condition got satisfied. What happened, the ticket booking was happened for him, and the ticket booking got happened for passenger 2 also. So totally how many tickets got booked? There are 3 tickets got booked, 2 for this passenger 1 and 1 for this passenger 2. But in the system, how many original tickets are there? There are only 2 tickets, but here there are 3 tickets got booked. So this is a problem, right? So this can call as a race condition. So you cannot accommodate one more person somewhere, right? You cannot, so you don't have the seat for the third person, but the ticket has been booked. So that should not be there, right? So that is a problem, right? So why this problem has occurred? Because you have an object and these threads are simultaneously acting on this object. For example, before completing this passenger 1 action, before completing this thread 1 action on the object, what happened? The thread 2 started acting on that. So what happened? There is an inconsistency was happened, and then you call it as race condition. So this is nothing but your asynchronous. What is the meaning of asynchronous? When you have one object and they are acting simultaneously, it means, so before completing one thread, so whenever he is trying to book the ticket, filling the form, he just so it may be, for example, whenever you are trying to book, it may went to the database, some action. So but he's in still waiting state. So for example, his bank information is getting loaded or something was happening. So at that time itself, your second passenger started booking. So what happened? The ticket booking got for 2 passengers, but that should not happen in real life, right? So what is the real scenario should be? For example, when passenger 1 is booking the ticket, until the success or failure, this should, passenger 2 should be in a waiting state and he should not act on this object. That you call it as synchronization. When one thread is acting on an object, the other thread should be in a waiting state, right? So if you don't use synchronization here, what happens? You get this kind of problems. Is this clear? What is this inconsistency? What is a thread in interfaces, or what is this? What is the importance of synchronization in real time? Is it clear, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. So that should not happen, right? So for that only we use a concept called synchronization. So how the synchronization is achieved is, so for example, you have a class A, and in this you have 2 methods. Assume that void m1 method, and I'm writing logic for this, and you have void m2 method. So this is my object, right? So A is my object. So your object will have a synchronized area as well as asynchronized area. So assume that as of now, there is no synchronization concept. So assume that there are two threads, T1 and T2. So these are the two threads, and what they want to act on this object. What is the meaning of act on this object? This T1 want to execute M1 and M2 methods, and this T2 also want to execute here M1 and M2 methods, right? So what is the meaning of generally a thread is the one which is executing your methods, right? So here in this case, what is this? This is nothing but your not synchronized methods. So for example, whenever T1 is acting on your M1 method, so T2 can start M1 method? Obviously, yes, it can start. For example, T1, your M1 is having 100 lines of 100 lines of code. For example, your T1 started executing. So T1 comes to your M1 and it started executing. So at something like at 15th line or something, your T1 went for a sleep. So it has went for sleep. It is doing some action. So what happens? Immediately, what happens here? Again, T2 will start executing. So what happened? Again, your T2 will start executing your M1 method. So what happens? Assume that T2 completed some 10 lines of code. So this is a 10 lines of code your T2 completed. So T2 completed your 10 lines of code. So and again it went for sleep. So some rest. So what happens again? Your T1 will start executing from the 16th line. So this you see, this is nothing but your multi-threading that you have seen before cases, right? So after some time this will get. So you don't know which one is executing. This is nothing but zigzag execution of your M1 method. That is your multi-threading concept that we are learning. So at the end, what happens? T1 will complete your 100 lines of M1 and T2 will complete the 100 lines execution of M1, but you don't guarantee when which one is completing what is happening. So this is your T1 and T2 are acting on simultaneously on this. So this is nothing but your asynchronous, right? So for example, what I want whenever your T1 is executing, your T2 should be in a waiting state. For example, before case what happened? When T1 started execution, T2 came in the middle and started execution, right? I don't want in such way. What I want when T1 is executing, whether it is sleep for 100 seconds or 1000 seconds, whether it's sleep for 1 minute also, what I want T2 should be in a waiting state. It should not start. Your T2 should not start until completing your T. So for that, what I can do, I can write a synchronized. You may get some various doubts. You can write a join, you can write a yield. So we'll discuss everything. So I'll be writing it as synchronized. So you have a keyword called synchronized. So when I write before a method, if I write a so before the method, if I write a synchronized keyword, what happens? That methods become a synchronized, right? It means whenever one thread is acting on that, other thread should be in a waiting state. So for example, your T1 started executing of your M1. So before case, if T1 wants to start M1 method, what happens? T1 can directly start it because it is not synchronized method and it does not need any lock. But what happens here? Whenever your method is synchronized, what happens? Your T1 requires the lock of object A. So why it requires? Because what is the synchronization concept? Whenever your T1 is executing it, what happens? If T2 want to execute your M1 method, it cannot execute. Why it cannot execute? Because it will not have a lock. So whenever your T1 is starting executing, what happens? It requires a lock. For example, I have a lock A. So assume that I have a lock A, LA. So this is nothing but my lock of the object. So whenever any thread want to act on the synchronized method, what it required? It required the lock of the object. So what happens whenever, for example, if T1 started executing, what it will take? It will take the lock of the object and it will start executing. So whenever it is in the 15th line or some line, so what happens? Your T1, what you will have? It will hold the lock. So I'm giving the lock name as LA, some lock it is holding. So this is nothing but the lock your T1 is holding. So whenever your T2 comes and it wants to execute your M1 method, what happens? What your M1, your T2 required? Your T2 required the lock of your object A. So why your T2 required the lock? Because it's a synchronized method. So whenever a thread want to act on a synchronized method, that thread requires the lock of that object. But currently, who is having that lock? Your T1 is having the lock. So T1 is holding the lock, right? So your T2 cannot act. So whenever your T1 completes its execution after 100 lines of code, what it will do? It will release the lock. Your T1 will release the lock if it completes its execution. So after releasing the lock, what happens? Your T2 can take that lock and start executing. Assume that you have something, a method called T3, then that will also be in a waiting state until completing of your T2, because that T2 will have a lock. So to execute a synchronized method, you need a lock. So you can ask me a doubt, your T2 can act on M2 method because M2 is not synchronized. That is the point of synchronization. That is the concept of lock. So how you understood what is synchronization? Synchronization is if one thread is acting on one method, object, I can say it as a method. So the other thread will be waiting state. So how it is achieving, how it is happening? Because of the lock concept. So if the method is synchronized, that requires the object lock. So if the thread is having the object lock, the other thread cannot act. So it will be in a waiting state. So in that way, your synchronization is achieved. Is it clear, Mike?
What is the 15th?
I am telling you a line.
Line.
Simple,
Okay, 15
I'm just giving an example, Mike. So for example, you have M1 is having 100 lines of code. So if M1 is having 100 lines of code, and for example, at the 15th line, some line, what happened? Your T2 went for sleep state, right? So generally, what happens whenever your thread went for a sleep state, we have seen it, right? So there is a multiple, so the other thread will act on that object. So generally what should happen? Your T2 should start acting on M1 method, but in this case, your T2 will not start acting on that because your T1 is having the lock of the object. So that's the reason your T1 will be in a, sorry, T2 will be in a waiting state. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. So can you read the same thing here? What I told you, you can read it in the slide. You can read the last point. Synchronization method is used to lock an object for an shared resource. So when a synchronized method, is used to lock an object for a shared resources, and when a thread, so when the thread is invoking your synchronized method, it automatically requires the lock for that object and releases it when the thread is completed function. What I told you, you can see. It is clear, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we see that example, whatever the example that we have seen, right, in the book, in the PPT. So that railway ticket booking. So we'll see what happens with synchronization. What happens with we have done that for previous batches. Creating it. I think I have lost it. Okay, better I'll be creating. It will be very easy for me if you understand this. 1 to 2 second time. So if you see here, what I've done, I have taken a class called rail ticket. If you want me to write that entire thing, I'll be writing it. But if you can able to understand it, little bit. So I have taken the replica of this thing only. So what we have here, we have two threads and one object, right? The same thing, and you have two tickets. So I've taken a class called real ticket, and I've taken a total number of tickets of 2, right? And I have taken a method called book ticket. So we'll start from the main method. So what I have one object. What is my object here? Rail ticket. So this is my object. So I have a rail ticket. So I have a rail ticket object. And what I have created two threads. So if you see how I created a threads is simply I have created a, so when you see how do you create a normally a thread class. So a thread exe extends your thread class, and what happened, I have taken a rail ticket. This is a reference. So we have a rail ticket, right? So in this rail ticket we have taken a book tickets, right? So I'll come from the top of this. So we have taken a class called real ticket, and in that class, what I have done, I have written a book ticket method. So in this book ticket method, you can see what are the code that I have written. So enter the name of the person, and so I'm reading that in a scanner class, and then I'm asking the person to enter the number of tickets, and I'm reading that number of tickets. And for example, if he enters the 2 tickets, what I need to do, I need to compare the tickets, which is with the total number of tickets that I have, right? So what I'm doing, if the tickets the user entered is less than or equals to the total number of tickets, what I'm doing, I'm proceeding for the booking. So just simply as of now here, I'm just picking the booked tickets. So whenever he enter, for example, your available tickets are 2, right? So if he enter the number 2 or less than 2, then I can able to execute this. If, for example, if I enter 5 or 3 tickets, what I will be doing it, I'll be executing the else condition. So I think you know what is if and else, right? So no tickets available, because if he's entering some 3 tickets, I just want to display, so simply I'm just displaying it no tickets. Whenever you want to some more logic, if you want, you can do it, but as of now I'm just displaying no tickets available. If you enter only that number only, I'm just displaying it available tickets. If you enter the number which is less than or equals to the total number of tickets. So what I'm showing to the user that the tickets got booked, and after that I'm just making a thread dot sleep method, and what I'm doing, I'm making the thread to go for little time waiting state. And after that, what I need to do, after printing the number of booked tickets, what I need to do, I need to minus the tickets from the total number of tickets. For example, the user entered 1 ticket, what I need to do, I need to do 1 minus the total number of tickets, right? So that logic I have written here. So total tickets equals to total tickets minus the tickets that the user entered. So after that, I am printing the available tickets. It means the total tickets number I am printing it. So this is a simple logic that I have written in book ticket method. So are you clear with this, right, Mike? What I have written in a book ticket method?
Yeah, generally. Yeah, because I needed to go through the code. Like, yeah.
Sorry, I can't get you.
I mean, yes. I mean, I know the flow. I understand the flow. Yeah. But for details, I need the time to look at the code. I think. Yeah. But general flow is okay.
Okay. You just go through this whether you are clear or not. Let me know.
Yeah, sure.
Any queries with that? So this is simple that I'm taking this example.
Yeah, I understand. But for me,
What you are saying something, Mike?
Yeah. Just because for you, I think it's easy, but for me, I need a little bit of time to go through.
Yes, I understood.
Because that's the thing. Because just please give me a little bit of time. I'm go through it now.
Oh, no issues. Take it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. It's okay. It's okay. Thank you.
Okay. You're clear, right? What I've done?
Yeah. Yes.
And what I've done next, I've taken a class called thread exe. What I'm doing, I'm extending a thread class. So this is the way you create a thread, right? So whenever you want to create a thread, this is one of the way I can extend a thread class. All right. One more way is nothing but implementing a runnable. But what we are doing is nothing but here extending a thread class. And what I have taken is nothing but here I have taken a rail ticket as a reference example. So you have a rail ticket, right? So that reference I have taken. So for example, and I have declared a variable here. So for example, when you want a string and declare some variable, right? So similarly, I declared a class and that a variable. For example, if you see, I can do like this, right? I can declare int and a. So this a is nothing but the value which of type int, right? So similarly, you have declared a type called rail, and the type is nothing but here class, that rail ticket class. Right? And what I have done, I have created a constructor, and in that constructor, I'm passing this rail ticket as a parent, and I'm giving it to the this is my local variable. I'm giving it to the instance variable. So how you do it for a string or something, I'm doing it for the object reference. So I'll create an object of this rail ticket in this constructor and I'll pass this here. So you'll get this more clarity when we once go down. So I have a run method, and in that run method, what I'm calling the ticket method. So what is this book ticket method? This is nothing but a non-static method. To call this non-static method, what I need the object of this rail ticket. So from where I'm creating an object. So for example, I have a rail ticket. So this rail ticket I am passing as a constructor here, and this is a rail ticket which will be rail is nothing but which is holding your object. So for somewhere you need to create an object and pass to this rail exe constructor. So from where we are doing that, we are doing that in your main method. So for example, if you see this is my main method. In this main method, what you are doing, you are creating the object of rail ticket, and what you are doing, you are passing that as a constructor in your thread example. So for example, this is a thread example. So first passenger one, assume it as nothing but your first thread. So what happens whenever you pass for a constructor with the parameter of object reference, what it will call the constructor with that parameter reference. So here it is going to call this thread example constructor with the real ticket parameter. So a simple thing, for example, you have a constructor with string, you have a constructor with int. So if you pass, if you're creating an object with the string type, what happens? It is going to call the string constructor. If you create an object with int type, what happens? It is going to call the int constructor. Similarly, here what you are doing, you are creating a thread example object, but by passing what? By passing other object, right? So I'm creating a thread example object with a parameter called, that parameter is what? That is not how you have a primitive parameters, how you have a so whenever you just, it could be very easy if you compare string or int or something with the this user defined class. So this user defined rail ticket class I'm passing as a reference. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. It's not getting charged.
Yeah, sure. No, take your time, Suya.
Okay, it's happening. Fine. So if you see what we are doing here, we are creating rail ticket object and we are passing that as a reference for this thread example. So what happens when I pass this thread example with this rail ticket object, which constructor it will call? It is going to call this constructor. So this, what is this rail is holding? This is holding that rail ticket object that you created, right? And
Yes, here, sorry, yeah. So yeah, so here real ticket is the object, right? Real ticket.
yes, rail ticket is an object.
And okay, I see. Yeah.
Thread exe is nothing but I'm taking it as a thread.
Okay, thread. Okay, yeah.
So that is a continuation flow of that.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, what we have, you can see after.
Yeah, sure. Can you, I don't know, can you, Suya, can you please copy the whole thing to me? I just to save to one file.
Okay, I think that whole will not come here. I need to send you.
Oh, you cannot. Okay.
Okay, it will have the text limit something. So that whole I cannot.
That's why. Okay, okay. Let's.
What I can do, I can send you in WhatsApp.
Yeah. Can you send me email, please?
I can WhatsApp you. That will be fine, right?
WhatsApp. Yeah, I think so. WhatsApp. I can save in WhatsApp, I think.
Yes, you can forward to your email, or you can able to. What you can do, you can even directly use it, and by using WhatsApp web, you can just open and do everything. I think.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Please, can you WhatsApp me for the whole code and then.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I tell, once you see and execute and understand by yourself, you'll only get the clarity.
Yeah, exactly. Because this one, for me, is a little bit complicated because I needed to go through it.
Yes. So my end, I can help you when you break out somewhere, but I think your practice only makes the things very good.
Yeah. I'm doing the practice now, like yesterday, the day before yesterday. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think we'll wind up here then, Mike. So you can go through that example.
Okay. Okay.
I'll just share to you, and you can go through that example. So once you're, so we can continue that in this tomorrow session.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And,
Tomorrow it's still 11. It will be better for you.
yes. For you, it's not a problem, right?
Yeah. For me, it's not a problem. Like, yeah, because yeah, is if it's better for you 11, we can set 11. No, yeah, no issue.
Actually, that's what. For me, today also sometimes I can't guarantee. Mostly this 11 also, like 99% I can guarantee you, but for a few times I can miss it. But when it happens to this 10 EST, so what happening is sometimes the call is getting extended. So I cannot guarantee. Tomorrow, today also I think I was available, right? But the guarantee. So for example, if tomorrow, if you are more convenient, what we do, we can connect it this 10 EST itself. But what happens if there is anything, we can shift to this 11 EST. So anything is fine. So
Okay.
I'm asking for your convenience actually.
Yeah. Sure. Like for
So
me.
What is your convenience?
Yeah. For me, 10 or 11, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Okay, both are fine for you, right?
Yeah, both are
So
fine.
before I think you told 10 is fine for you, so that's the reason I am asking.
Yeah. Okay. We target at 10. If not, we will see 11 or even 11. Like yeah, we will see 11 or 11:30. Okay. But but if there is no change, we still let me just tomorrow. I just to make sure we will target 10, right? 10 a.m.
That's all. So your convenient is 10, right?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll try to do it by 10 itself. But if any issues, what we do, we shift to the 10:30 or something like that.
Yes. Just
So I'll be
or
updating you.
11. Yes. Or like I just to type it. You can see. Both
11,
are okay for
11
me. Yeah.
Okay,
Then
10
I have no issue.
or
Yeah.
okay, 11 a.m. or 11:30. So fine.
Yeah.
So tomorrow we'll try to do it by 10 itself. Not possible, we'll try to do it by 11.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I have shared you the code actually, Mike.
Okay.
Okay, go through that and let me
I
know if
got
any
it.
questions.
Yeah. Okay. Have
Okay,
a
let
good
me know
night.
if any queries.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes.
So see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Yes. Bye. చెప్పవే చిట్టి